the farm is a wonderful place to live. Back then, you could buy land for a little bit of nothing, and we all grew up in a 2-bedroom house. On the farm, you have a closer relationship with your family because everybody is involved in the farm activity. When the cotton was ready to pick, you only had a certain time to get it out. And you had to pick it, and then what would be fun about it, you could ride the trucks to the cotton gin and see them gin the cotton and all of that. And that would give us a break from the cotton fields a little bit. And I don't know, it just, whenever you work together, it just makes you bond closer to your brothers and sisters than you would otherwise if one wasn't there.
Sarah Stewart was born in the tiny town of Carson, near Bassfield, Mississippi. The Stewart family was a vibrant part of the fabric of this tight-knit community.
Sarah had 6 siblings in her family, and all of them were centered around Mother. Miss Eileen was the glue that kept the family together, though. And they all were educated. They have doctors, and they have nurses, and they have engineers. And I guess her older brother, M.G. Dice, has one of the larger pipeline companies in the U.S.
And she had influence on every one of her children. All of us are just alike. We want to work, and we work hard. And she was 84 years old when she died, and she could still outwork any of us kids because she had done it all of her life, you know.
Sarah inherited her mother's strong work ethic. After graduating from Bassville High School in 1959, her talent was recognized by a local bank owner, Clarence Woods.
One night, Miss Thompson and Mr. Clarence Woods come to see me, and they wanted to know if I would come to work with the bank. It was Lumberton State Bank then. And I says, well, I'll have to think of it. I said, I hate to leave Mr. Kaiser because I've just started over there. And they said, yeah, but you'd be at home and wouldn't have to drive. And back then, banking hours was from 9 to 2 o'clock. You was off on Thursday afternoons, you were off on Saturday. Said, just look, you know. And I said, well, let me think of it a good day. And Mr. Clarence says, I want you to treat that money just like it would be your money. You would take care of it just like it would be your own money. And I always remembered what he told me, and I decided I'd come to work with him. And I started with Lumberton State in May of '60. We have been through about 7 or 8 mergers, and with all of the mergers, 55 years later, I'm still here.
Those 55 years did not come without struggle, such as in 2000, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
I had to have chemo every 3 weeks. I had to have 8 rounds of chemo. And I would go, my family would try to drive me to take my chemo, and I'd tell them no, that I had to do it on my own, that I was determined that I was going to beat it. And so they all stood behind me, and they'd say, well, we're here for you. I'd say, I know you're here for me, but I got to do it on my own.
She would go every time that she was asked to go for treatment, but she was so loyal to her customers. And this is Sarah now. Eleanor had a little cot put back in the back room, and if she got too sick, they allowed her to go back in the back room to rest. And I thought this was outrageous. If I had a puny headache, I didn't go to school. But that was her loyalty to her customers.
The best thing that happened to this community and to her, she continued to work at the bank. She didn't miss any time.
My customers stood by me like no telling what, and I don't know if I could ever made it without them.
For more than 55 years, Sarah Stewart has given of herself unselfishly. Always going the extra mile to educate and assist, she continues to help make life better for those around her.
Sarah's values region's values are so closely aligned. I think it's just natural for her to feel that way, and what she does every day here in the office and the way the clients perceive her in this community is just spot on.
Sarah has been so good to her customers. They all love her. In fact, when I told my niece that they were going to do this, she said, "She's not ready to retire, is she?"
She's homecoming queen. She might not have told you that. She's just been a fine person all her life. Very dependable. If she tells you something, you can count on it.
Well, Miss Sarah's special, or she wouldn't be here as long as she's been here. When you see Miss Sarah, you see the smile, and that's just Sarah, and she'll do whatever she needs to do to make it right.
And then that new 14
Years from now, when I'm in Miss Sarah's shoes, I want somebody to look at me and say, I want to be like her. So I want to try to follow in her footsteps and take care of everybody.
I've worked about 39 years with Sarah. I've known her since I was 11 years old and never knew I would grow up to work with her, and she's just been an inspiration. She gives of herself 100%. A lot of people might not believe it, but she is almost too good to be true. Whatever you've heard about her, it's really Sarah, and she does everything from her heart.
Sarah's one of those people that, hey, if Sarah sees a need, she's going to meet that need, or she's going to get in touch with somebody who's going to help her meet that need for someone. And I really think that's what inspires me about her. If I can be like her, I would feel honored to be able to be just a little bit like Sarah.
Like her mother before her, Sarah Stewart has become the center of her large family and the heart of her community. Her legacy has impacted many generations with her good old-fashioned community values, a strong sense of family, and most of all, a love that binds us all.
My customers depend on me. I'd say 70% of my customers, not only did I do with the grandparents, the parents, but the children and some of the grandchildren now, you know. And the minute most of them walked in the door, I knew exactly what they wanted. And I think that means a lot, to know your customer and to know what they want and to know their needs and to do what you can to help them.